In honor of Black History Month or African American Heritage Month, whichever you prefer, this episode of the Superpower Radio Show will focus on people with autism who inspire us. But before we get started, and we did some research, and this is stuff we didn't know, and it is super inspiring. So we're excited to share it. So thank you for sharing your morning with us. You are listening to the Superpower Radio Show with your hosts, Brenda Major and
Mia Dawson.
And we are excited to provide a safe and supportive community for people impacted by autism. We think that autism is a superpower because of the insight and gifts that it brings out in all of us. So as always, we want you to know we are not trained clinicians nor diagnosticians. We do not have degrees in autism nor the spectrum. And the information you're going to hear on this show is designed to offer strategies, comfort, support, faith, definitely some humor for caregivers to help you manage the symptoms influenced by this disorder. So, as I said, we did some research and we were amazed. We got some blog posts that we read. We started looking at people and digging deeper into, well, when did they get diagnosed? Well, wow, how does he do that? So these are African Americans and one gentleman from the UK, past and present, who are using their superpowers to an amazing level. And one of the blogs that we read said to see past the label and focus on the able.
So I love that.
I do too, Mia. So here we go. You got the first one for us.
Okay. So this name, I was talking to Brenda. I was like, why is this name in here? This man's name is John Doomsday Howard. So I was really wanting to know who called this man Doomsday. That sounds so depressing and morbid, but we're going to find out, guys. So he started his career as an electrician before pursuing his dream as a mixed martial arts fighter. Yay, because you guys know I love all the sports stuff. He was born in 1983. Okay, so he's around my sister's age because she's born in 1983. He and his brother were raised by their single mom in Boston. Public schools had very few resources, which that's a lot was happening even today. So he was put in special education classes with all the other kids who had trouble learning. And speech was also difficult for him. And so I was thinking about this, just even this first part of it, where special education classes, I do not blame the school. I just think they have low resources. And so all these kids are in a classroom and they're all at different levels.
Sure.
And so now you can't even teach to a majority because there isn't a majority.
Right.
And so if Sarah has this need, John doesn't have the same need.
Right.
So
you can see why, he would be bullied.
It says that he was constantly bullied. In his words, he was made to feel stupid. He was always getting into physical fights, and he was, as he fought to make a sense of the world around him. I completely understand this. I remember Stefan went to a classroom. We were trying to figure out where to put Neo at for school. And Stefan came back home and said, I can't do this. And it was just on the basis of there were so many kids with different superpowers that he didn't know if Neo would get the attention that he needed.
Understandable.
So for John to make sense, he dreamed to become a fighter. Now, we didn't find this in our research, but it's likely his mother insisted he learn a skill. So he proved he could learn and become an electrician. So she probably didn't want him. I know what that is. You become a what? You're not getting ready to fight. We're getting ready to get something where we can have a retirement and
right. Where you going to survive. Right.
Where you going to survive. We're not getting ready to do no fighting. So he started practicing martial arts in his spare time, and he became a professional with all you young people, all our young listeners, MMA fighter in 2004. So this is even new for my age range because I like WWF wrestling. That's what we used to watch back in the day. So he's an MMA fighter. Because the competition was full contact with limited protective pads for either fighter, there are of course injuries and athletes have to undergo medical screenings. This was so interesting to me, Brenda.
Yeah.
During a standard neurological exam, his attending physician noticed specific patterns in John's childhood, far too many to be a coincidence. Further exams resulted in his autism diagnosis. I thought this was interesting because they were able to see this while he was still alive. I've only heard about looking at the brain, kind of seeing what the brain looks like when they have passed away. So being able to see, hey, his brain is not made up, seeing the autism basically in the brain. I've just always heard it after they passed away.
Yeah, they did. They asked him a lot of questions too that really dug deep into his childhood. So he was giving them clues without even being aware of it.
Without being aware of. Yeah. Yeah. So Doomsday, who's nicknamed after the villain who killed Superman, now shares this advice with teachers. I still don't understand that whole Doomsday, guys, but we're going to keep going, okay? We're going to get past Miss Mia's thought patterns with that. Be patient. Teaching is a tough job, but you have to be patient. That is so true. Your education can tell you one thing, but actually sitting in front of a child and having a one-on-one conversation can help you better understand their needs. Not all special education is bad. That is absolutely true. And I think teachers who give their time to children do care about them. That is also true. When asked why he came forward with his diagnosis, John Howard stated that he did it for children in special education. He said, this is his words, "I think it's my responsibility to let these kids know that I came from special needs classes and I was able to achieve my goals. If I can make it, you can." Excellent, 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 excellent. I totally agree.
That's awesome. So going from being bullied to being an MMA fighter, and now that he totally understands even what was going on with him,
he can
share that advice that may help other people.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
That is awesome. So
Miss Brenda, who did you want to talk about?
You know what? I really want to talk about Stephen Wiltshire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he is not American, but he is of African descent. He is from London. And you may not know his name, but you might have seen some of his famous time-lapse videos on YouTube where he is able to do these sketches of cityscapes, entire cities from memory. So
wow, I have seen that.
Yeah, so that's his superpower.
Wow.
He has a photographic memory. He can draw any cityscape. He was born in London, England in 1974. His parents are from the West Indies.
Okay.
And here's the interesting thing. As a child, he was mute, so he couldn't relate to people. He couldn't talk. And then he was diagnosed earlier than Doomsday Howard was. He was diagnosed at 3 with autism. So at 5, he was sent to Queen's Mill School in London. And that's where they noticed he liked to draw. So it soon became apparent that he was communicating to the world through his drawing.
Wow. Wow. I love it. I love it.
Fascinating. He first started drawing like buildings and animals and buses, and then it really took off from there. So at the school, they encouraged him to talk. It was so cool. It worked, but still, they took away his art supplies. So So the first thing he learned to say was paper. Like, give me my paper bag.
Yes.
So, but it must have worked because by the time he was 9, he was able to, fully communicate with people.
Wow.
And so he was also featured because people were trying to figure out, how does this kid do this? And he's so young, is he really the one doing this? So one of his teachers took an interest in him and took him to this drawing excursions all over the place where he would draw and compete in these art competitions.
Oh.
And he was really, really that good. So then a local TV show featured
Mhm.
him on their show and decided, you know what? And the show was called The Foolish Wise Ones. Now this is London, England, so
Okay. Okay.
go with it. And
Yeah.
that was in
Okay.
1987, but that's when his career took off. So now it's taken him all over the world, and he has sketched cityscapes in Venice and Amsterdam and Moscow and Tokyo. And the one
Wow.
he's probably most famous for, and I'm going to look this one up because I really want to check this out. He's most well known for drawing the entire cityscape of New York City.
That's the one I seen. That's the one I
Okay,
seen was New York City.
cool.
I
And it was,
thought, I was like, is this real? It almost looked like it wasn't real. Yeah,
yeah,
I
with
seen
the
one
time
New York.
lapse photography. So
Mhm.
this was after a 15-minute helicopter ride. So he committed all of that to memory
That is
and
insane.
was
Wow.
able to draw it. So, you know, what I love about this is that we don't hear about this stuff.
No,
You know,
no,
we
not
just
at all.
don't hear. We just
Not
don't.
at all. Not. And how old is he now, Brenda?
Oh, now he is probably in his 40s now.
He's in his
Yeah.
40s. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's in his 40s now.
Okay.
So yeah, I probably need to do a follow up to see what he's, what he's been doing lately.
Yeah. Yeah. Because wow. 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 That is in. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, going from not speaking at all to, becoming this world famous artist. So
That's amazing.
yeah,
It's so encouraging and hopeful.
it
That's what
really
it is.
is. It's
Yeah.
inspiring. It really is. So
Yeah.
yeah. So the next one, I know you had mentioned this guy to me before. This NASCAR driver,
Yes, I have.
Armani
Armani
Williams.
Williams.
Mhm.
Hmm. He is the first ever to be openly diagnosed with autism. I'm thinking in the NASCAR arena.
Mhm.
Over the course of his career, his cars have sported a blue autism puzzle piece,
Mm.
drawing awareness to the disorder.
Okay.
Was born in Grosse Pointe, Michigan in the 2000s. As a child, Williams loved to play with Hot Wheels. Huh, that's not shocking. He
Mhm.
was diagnosed at the age of 2 and spoke his first words at 3.
Wow.
It's interesting that he really didn't have, that's not too far of a gap. That's not bad.
Right.
His parents worked with him to improve his social interaction and sensory skills. At age 10, he attended the 2010 Brickyard 100 and he was hooked on the sport from that point on.
Okay.
Armani, I'm sorry, Williams is one of 5 African American drivers currently competing in NASCAR and definitely one to watch. So that's even a bigger thing. There's not a lot of African Americans in NASCAR.
Right. Right.
So he's doing it on 2 ends with having a superpower and being, one of 5 African American in that sport.
And the cool thing about that is, really being a champion for autism by having that symbol, the
Yes.
puzzle piece, the blue puzzle piece on all of the cars that he drives. Because
Yes, ma'am.
it's one thing to be a spokesperson for something and to always be talking about it, but to let your actions do the
Yes.
talking.
Yes.
When I cross the finish line, you're gonna see.
Yes.
And he's not trying to, hide or
No.
assimilate, with regards to autism. He's like, yes, I have it. I'm moving forward. I'm successful, but we still need more research and more support. So
Correct.
that was really cool.
Yep. I love it. I love it.
So I'll definitely be watching him.
Yes.
So, I know that basketball is king in your house. So when I saw
Oh, yes.
this guy, I thought, oh yeah, this is one that's right up Mia's alley, Kaylin Bennett.
Kaylin Bennett. Let's see. Was told as a young boy that he may not ever be able to walk or talk. I understand that. They told Neil this. Well, they told Neil he wouldn't be able to talk because he was walking.
Wow.
In fact, he didn't speak until age 7.
Hmm.
Now at 6'11", woo, he stands tall as the first autistic athlete to earn a spot on the NCAA Division I basketball team. And he has a lot to say. Oh, yes, I bet he does. While he was recruited by a number of different schools, Bennett chose Kent State in 2018. because of their commitment to organic inclusion in sports and special needs awareness. So that's cool. You're finding that out now too. A lot of the schools, a
Even
lot of
college level.
college level, at the college level, at the NFL level. I know the Eagles is one that has an organization for autism. So you're finding that out a lot now.
Yeah.
Here we go again. Kalen was bullied in school until he discovered the love for basketball that helped him focus on the barriers he faced. He also excelled in math and music. I always, and I'm going to talk about this on later shows, because I was bullied too growing up. And it's so important that, and I know it has to be taught from the parents and the teachers, that if these kids are different, how to include them in there, even though they're not, they're not the same as you. And I think that's what a lot of it is. It comes on the part of us as parents and teachers. So these kids won't have to go through this, because every story doesn't end like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're not all happy endings. They're
not all happy endings at all.
Use their superpower. You're right.
Yes. And so it is so important at younger age, because that's where they start to learn at kindergarten, first grade, second grade, that yes, Johnny or Sally is different, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Kaylin Bennett said, I want to make an impact, not just on the court, but with kids that are struggling with the same things I am. I want to use this platform to inspire other kids with autism and non-autism. Yes. We want to do, that's the same thing we're doing right now with the radio show. We want to let them know, hey, if I can do this, you can do it too. A lot of times they feel alone and by themselves. Yes. And I felt the same way when I was growing up. He also said that, others have said that he wouldn't be anything, that he wouldn't be able to have a life.
Wow.
They said he wouldn't be able to live out his best life, and be a regular person every single day. But he has kept on proving them wrong, and rightfully so. His dream is coming true, he wrote in a recent tweet.
That's
so we and sometimes I don't blame doctors or whatever. They're going on their own evidence and their own science of this is not going to happen, and this is not what but it's important that it looks like he believed in himself, and hopefully there was somebody around him that make that.
Yeah, definitely. His family had to have said, you know what, I know what the doctor said, but they had to have been consulting a higher power.
They had to. And that's what I did, because they said that, and we went right home and said, I don't care what he said.
Yeah.
This is what's going to happen. And you have to have that. I want listeners, parents, caregivers to feel that. I don't care what they have said. Brenda and I both have seen and witnessed miracle after miracle of what somebody else has said, and we have seen it come true. The Lord can do it, and it has happened. And so,
with this guy, who was told that, he wasn't going to be able to walk or talk.
Yes.
Parents had to have said, oh no, we're not settling for that death sentence.
Yes.
With our child. I mean, being told that at such a young age, and not being able to talk until 7. And we know, interestingly, 7 is that number of completion.
It sure is. It sure is.
Just not giving up, continuing to work with him. And I mean, my goodness, look what we would have missed out on.
Oh my goodness.
So many kids who now know that their superpower should not, keep them from, if they want to be a basketball player, if they want to go to college and play basketball, and and excel in other things as well, that they can do it. That's what's so inspiring, really, about these stories. Yeah.
And that should give enough courage, like you said, and encouragement, that if they did it, you can. And all of them have said that. If I did it, I know you, and that should be enough. Yes, I can. Whatever it is, like you said, whatever your superpower is, whatever it is. We've got NASCAR people, we got basketball, we got that we have, talked about today on the show, but they've all said the same, it was in the same thread. If I can do it, you can.
Yeah, if I can do this, you can do it.
Yeah.
we may have time for this one more today. So I want to talk about it's so interesting. His name is Thomas Wiggins. And
Hmm.
you know how even in the Bible they tended to label people by their disability.
They
So
did.
they
They
called
did.
him, Blind Tom.
Oh, wow.
I'm
Okay.
going to partially excuse him because he was born in 1849. So this was during slavery. He and his parents were slaves. And honestly, I think his superpower really spared him from a lot
Oh, wow.
because he was blind,
Hmm.
he couldn't work in the field. So
Oh,
yeah, so his parents were working the fields and they just kind of let him gravitate to do whatever he wanted to do. But at an early age, he showed an interest in the piano because he heard it played by the plantation owner's daughters. And so by age 4,
hmm,
they say that he could hear something and play it perfectly.
wow.
So they let him get access to a piano by the grace of God, I'm sure.
Yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
he actually then started composing music at age 5. He wrote a composition called the Rainstorm. Um, and so then, of course, they decided to exploit him. So his owner started taking him on the road, and he was almost
Oh,
like a sideshow, like a freak show, kind of,
oh, wow.
because he could hear anything once and he could duplicate it, not only playing it, but he could sing it. So he could imitate, like birds and sounds in nature. And they didn't know then this was his way of communicating.
Yeah, yep, yep,
And
very
I
much.
don't know, we don't know what he felt, but thank God that God gave him this gift that not only helped him communicate, but other people actually appreciated, because again, he was now doing concerts. And something that we read said an example of his extraordinary ability was shown after he was taken to a political rally in 1860. So again, he's still a kid,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in support of Democratic presidential candidate Stephen Douglas.
Okay.
Um, and they said that years after that, he could still recite every word of the speech that Stephen
Oh
Douglas
my
made by hearing
gosh.
it once, and he remembered it and he was still repeating it. And he was even capturing the sounds that the hecklers were making in the
Oh
background.
my goodness.
Yeah. So what happened was they took him on the concert tour. He was making all this money. He didn't get a dime of it. Uh,
Duh. Of course
he was
not.
making at some point for his owners $100,000 a year, and back then. So that,
That was, oh my gosh, yeah.
yeah, by today's standards, that would be, over $1 million
Mm-hmm.
a year that
Mm-hmm.
he was making, again, that he didn't get any of. Um, so, just an amazing talent. And the interesting thing I found about him as well,
Mm-hmm.
um, is that even more recently,
Mm-hmm.
Elton John wrote a song about him, which is,
Oh,
yeah, the Ballad of Blind Tom. And I hate that they call him Blind Tom, but that's how they knew him. Uh,
okay, okay.
so for Elton John to know his music, even today,
Even today.
tried to write a song about him
Wow.
specifically, it just says, this guy isn't forgotten.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
So many people who were born in during slavery, they didn't have documentation of when they
Mm-hmm.
where they were born and any of that, and they were sold from place to place, from owner to owner, and their
Mm-hmm.
names changed based on the name of the owner. That's the last name they got. So on the one hand, I'm glad that his superpower did give recognition to him and his talent.
It is talent.
uh,
Okay. Yep.
and I'm
Yep.
glad somebody kept up with it and wrote about it so we could find it
Yes. 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 Yes.
and
Yes. Yes.
be able to share it. So, Tom Wiggins, you may not have known back then, you were just trying to communicate, but you have definitely inspired us today. And so
Wow, that is amazing. That
it,
is amazing.
it truly is. And so, what a good place to end our
Yes, that's
conversation
on a high.
today.
Yes, 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 yes.
That
Wow.
that was so inspiring, after going through all of that and
Hmm.
seeing that if these people don't let anything hinder them, let's look past the label and focus
Yes,
on the able.
yes, yes,
So
yes, yes.
so we, of course, we didn't get through all of them, but we will, in later shows, we will be bringing back and focusing on some amazing people,
Most definitely. Hmm.
yeah, on the spectrum, but they are so inspirational. So
Yes.
again, listeners, we thank you so much for your support. We'd love to hear from you. Any issues that you want to hear about, we want to talk about them. So go to our website, www.adventuresofneo.com, and you can send us a comment. You can find previous episodes of the show if you click the news tab at the top of the homepage. We are here every Monday morning.
Yes,
Yay!
yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody on the East Coast yesterday, and I said, "Okay, get up early because we're on at 7." I'm sorry, on the West Coast. He's out in San Francisco. I said we're on
Okay, yes,
7 Pacific time. We're on 8 Mountain time, Central time. We're at 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock Eastern time. So for some
yes.
of you, we'll just go to work with you because we'll be your morning drive. So
Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
so tune in. We're excited to share what's coming up in future episodes. We're going to start having more guests on the show to share some of their experiences too.
Most
But for now, thank you so much for listening. Been listening to the Superpower Radio Show with Brenda Major, and
Mia Dawson.
all right, we'll catch you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.